Welcome to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening to Kickin' with the Rickens podcast. We are here with retirement planner Heidi Ricken Provost and licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken. My name is Mark Owens. We invite you to get more at rickenfinancial.com. You can get all the information here in the show notes. Thanks again for subscribing. Now, let's get to the show. Gerry was saying on the way in, it's all about family. And I think this weekend, we got to show some love to the moms out there. How are y'all doing this weekend?
Wonderful, Mark. How are you? Enjoying Mother's Day weekend with Gretchen,
Yes. Love
and your mama.
bride.
And your mom.
I am surrounded by strong, powerful, influential women. My mama, Claudia, she is a saint. My stepmom, Kathy, has seen me at my worst and been there with me at my best. I've got the greatest mother-in-law, Mary, in the history of the world. And of course, my bride, Gretchen, she is an amazing mother. So I am a very, very lucky individual.
You're very blessed, my friend. You know, we all love our moms and we miss them when they're gone.
Oh, for sure. You know, every Mother's Day, there is a little piece of me. Oh my gosh, it's been very many years, but a little piece of me that just so wishes that Grandma Dolores was around and we could celebrate her because, you know, every once in a while, there's like this woman who's just her presence around you just softens you and it makes you feel warm and safe and like everything's going to be okay. And that was 100% who my dad's mom was.
So true.
And like, I always used to joke, I'm like, if you look up the word grandmother in the dictionary, you're going to see Grandma Dolores. Like she was the ultimate grandma. So yeah, we definitely miss her. And it's our first Mother's Day without Grammy too, without Nana, my husband's grandmother. And, yeah, Mother's Day can be a really tough time for a lot of people out there. And I myself am not a mother, but I am becoming a godmother once again on Mother's Day this year. So as you're listening to us right now, I'm actually hanging out with my little buddy Samuel and getting him baptized and welcomed into the church so I can become godmother again. So
I love that.
You know, shout out Catherine and Taylor. Thank you so much for finding Stephen and myself worthy of being godparents of little Samuel. We don't take it lightly and we're excited to, you know, welcome him into the faith and then celebrate his first birthday.
You know, being a godparent is the greatest job you hope you never have to be a part of because I'm the godfather of my niece. And it's like, I love spoiling her and I'll do anything for little Sophie. And, you know, of course, birthdays and holidays and everything. We have that very special bond. She calls me godfather. She's my little goddaughter. I hope I never have to step into that role because of what you sign up for. But it is a pretty cool feeling. So to all the moms, all the stepmoms, the fill-in moms, the grandmoms, all the moms out there, hope you are celebrated like the queens that you are. Real quick. What do you have planned? Is it a cookout? Is it a card and flowers? Is it a long-form FaceTime? What do you have planned for Mother's Day?
You know, the thing that we were just bouncing around last night was actually going to Mayfest at Grant's Farm on Saturday. And Mayfest, for those of you in St. Louis who don't know about this.
And me.
It is, yeah.
I don't know about this.
I haven't had the opportunity to talk to Heidi about this yet. But it's an Oktoberfest in May. So it celebrates our German heritage, and it's at Grant's Farm. So free beer and, you know, pet the animals, take the train ride through the you know, the park. And just have a great time. And there's German music out there, and it's going to be a great time. And the Saturday is supposed to be a really nice day.
So here's the other thing. You know, this sounds like a blast. Everyone, please wish Gerry the best of luck because when he is at Grant's Farm, he does not know how to behave. And we want to ensure he does not get spit on by a llama again.
Yeah, that was a special, especially with my mouth open. That was
if you want to see that one, head over to Ricken Financial. Go find our Facebook page. I'll share the photo for all of you that we caught in the moment of a llama spitting on him with his mouth open and it landed in there.
Very special time.
Thank you, Grant's Farm, for the free beer that helped out that day to wash out his mouth.
Exactly. And thank you, Anna, our cousin from Germany, for taking the photo.
Oh my God.
And then we're here's the other thing, Mark.
Yeah.
Since you are a baseball guy,
yes, sir.
We're actually thinking. I've been looking for brunches because you know I'd rather go out for the first time probably in a long time because we usually have dinner in or brunch in.
Sure.
But I found a brunch at Busch Stadium, actually in Ballpark Village.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's,
Go on.
We may do that on Sunday.
So wait.
We're still fluid.
We're talking about Mother's Day here this weekend. And as we record this, we're kind of putting our plans together, getting excited about a big weekend. And I've noticed everything that Gerry's talked about benefits him. Not the moms out there, but we're talking some cold ones. We're talking brunch. We're talking going to the ballpark. We're talking getting spit on by a llama. So none of this has to do with the moms out there.
I was just getting ready to say, which is funny that you mentioned that. I'm like, let's be real. We're not in charge of this. So we will come up with 100 ideas because mom's the person that wants everyone to bring all the ideas to her on a silver platter, and then she'll stew it over and choose one.
Yeah. But you know what? She is a huge Cardinals fan, and she's a fan of Grant's Farm, and she's German, and she likes beer.
She does like beer too.
Yeah.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
That's right.
Hey, give them a follow on social media. Just put a search on it, Ricken Financial, or of course online at rickenfinancial.com. Keep this number close, 314-207-6211. As we're talking about celebrating Mother's Day here this weekend on Kicking with Rickens, there are some people that might be panicking right now because they're thinking, oh crap, you're right. It is Mother's Day weekend. Haven't got the card, haven't got the flowers, need to recognize the moms in our life. But Heidi, Ricken, Provost, Gerry, Ricken, there are also adults that are panicking right now thinking about their retirement. We're going to have a good conversation about that this weekend. So what's one of the biggest, I don't want to oversell it as like a fear, but when people do get bent out of shape, people do get fearful, what's one of the biggest concerns that they have?
I'd say as we're talking to prospects and clients alike, the first real panic when you start thinking about retirement is, we meet people 5, 10, 15 years out from retirement or even 5 minutes from retirement. And all of a sudden they think, oh, Lord, have I saved enough money? Because that thought will paralyze people.
Right.
It'll keep them from having an appointment with us, meeting with us to see if they are ready, because they are so afraid if they didn't save enough money for their retirement, they think that everything is going to be this horrible, ugly picture when we put it all together, and it keeps them from planning. Don't let that keep you from planning, because I'm telling you, if you're sitting here with that huge panic and fear, first of all, you're not alone. But second of all, if you are that concerned, you probably have saved enough, because the people that we find have the most fear about whether or not it's going to stand the test of time typically do have enough to stand the test of time. But don't put it up to chance. Let's have a conversation and put together a plan for you and show you, is that number enough for retirement? It's going to start with a conversation. If you want to give us a buzz at 314-207-6211. We have a representative standing by who will set up some time on our schedules, and we'll go over everything with you. What are the ins and outs and everything that lead towards your retirement to put together your full retirement plan? And it'll show you definitively, is that dollar amount enough? But let me tell you, that dollar amount, it's a dollar amount. It's how much you've saved for retirement. It's your nest egg. Yes, I don't want to belittle it. It is all of your life savings and a lot of hard work goes into this. But that's only one part of retirement. And it's usually not the make or break. It's not the dollar amount that's going to make or break it. It's what you do with that dollar amount.
Right.
And the fear of the unknown is truly real out there, because people are fearful because they don't know. And the only way to really know, as Heidi said, is to sit down and just share information with us and let us analyze it and see where you are and where you can be. And just like Heidi said, it's what you do with your nest egg that really matters. And I think, Mark, you've said it best. Historically, you've always said that income is the outcome that matters most in retirement. It's all about income. How do you develop an income stream from your nest egg? So in your nest egg, you want to make sure you protect it. A mother hen protects its eggs. And, we can be the mother hen for you to help protect that egg, because we don't want it to be cracked. We don't want it to be broken. We want it to last as long as you have blood pressure. We want you to have income.
And the other thing is, your nest egg is going to be completely different if we're meeting you and you have a pension from work and Social Security and the nest egg. And your nest egg is going to be completely different if you don't have those things. I mean, hopefully you have Social Security, because that means you had to work at some point in time and pay into the system. But, if you don't have that pension that's going to cover all of your expenses and everything, but say you still spend less than the guaranteed income that's going to be paid to you in your retirement, that nest egg number is going to be completely different from those that we meet who have larger expenses. Maybe you're still paying for educations or weddings or
you still have a mortgage.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many different facets that go into this that, that one number is not going to make or break your retirement, but it's the plan. If you don't have the plan and you're so afraid of if you saved enough with that number, then you may not be able to retire effectively. So let's put together that plan and ensure that that number is the number you need.
Another panic that people have, Mark, is not having the paycheck coming in.
Yeah.
Because we all build our expenses and our budget based on the income flowing in. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge issue for a lot of people.
And speaking of serving the community, a couple of great complimentary educational workshops coming up from the team at Ricken Financial. Heidi, tell me more about it.
Of course. So later on this month, on May 27th or May 28th, whichever evening works better for you, I'll be hosting our Women's Empowerment Seminar. So if you are a woman who plans to retire one day or is already retired, and you want some of the questions we're talking about right now and some of the panic we're talking about this weekend are, you don't know what you don't know. And if you really don't even know where to begin when it comes to retirement, or you know where to begin, but you have a lot of questions and you want to ensure that you're making the right decisions and you don't really know how to empower yourself to make those correct decisions, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So please join me at Pastoria in Clayton, either May 27th or May 28th, whichever evening works better for you. And you can always find this information on our events page on our website at rickenfinancial.com. That's RICKEN financial.com. Head over to the events tab on our webpage and you can learn more about that. But if you want to be invited, give us a buzz at 314-207-6211 and we'll get you on the list so that you too can ensure that you're empowered to handle the financial future.
And you can actually register on that website as well. You can register from our events page on rickenfinancial.com. Just click on the event you'd like to attend and put yourself out there.
Excellent. Again, rickenfinancial.com. One more time, that date, the 27th and the 28th. Schedule-wise, are both nights, are we covering the same information or is it part one and part two?
Nope, we're covering the same information both nights. It's just whatever evening works better in your schedule because some nights don't work for us, some nights work better. So whichever one works better for you, come on and join me. We just ask that you register, please, because we do have assigned seating and whatnot. But we welcome you to join us because we're going to cover a lot of topics, including what we're talking about here this weekend, which is panic. It's human nature when our habit changes or our routine changes to have a little bit of panic in that change. So, you go 20, 30, 40, 50 years clocking in at work, having someone else pay you your paycheck, you're budgeting how much you're spending on a monthly basis. That doesn't mean you actually sit here with a budget, but you roughly know what's coming in and you know what you can spend. And, you just kind of get in this habit and routine and life is good. And then all of a sudden one day you're supposed to be in charge of this.
Yeah.
The onus is on you now to figure out how are you going to get paid? Where is it going to come from? When is it going to hit your bank account? How much can you spend? What do you want to do in retirement? There are so many things that might cause some panic here. And we completely understand that a big one here is income. Where's my income going to come from? How do I set it up properly? Where do you even begin?
And change can be very unnerving for people. A lot of people just don't like change. They like routines. We're creatures of habit and we love our routines. So when you do retire, everything changes. And as Heidi said, where do we begin to change how we get paid? And now we need to pay ourselves. Or we need to structure it so that our pensions pay us on a certain, and how do you claim that pension? Is there survivor benefit? What percentage of survivor benefit is there? Is there a cost of living adjustment in that pension? What does your Social Security look like? How do you claim with your spouse? If you're married, how do you claim individually? How do you claim if you are a divorced person? Are there other benefits out there? Well, the only way to really understand that is to work with someone who does that every day. And that's what we do every day. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that or a lot more about that, please call us at 314-207-6211 just to get started. Because without knowing what's out there, you really don't know how to structure your income.
Of course. And, you just mentioned a big one here, Social Security. So many people have questions about Social Security. And so often we find ourselves in meetings where people will say all of these misnomers that are out there because, I get it. Like you, I sit back and I Google things before I want to feel like I have a little bit of research and, done before I make any decision.
Right.
But if you go and you're researching Social Security benefit strategies and, you sit in the Google box and you stick all this stuff in here, I'll tell you, a lot of the information you're going to come across is probably not beneficial to you. It was beneficial to the person who wrote this on the internet. And Social Security is so personalized. There are so many different ways that you can draw your Social Security retirement benefits. And there is so much misinformation on the internet about the Social Security Administration because we're all aware of the fact that it's a broken system and it has to be fixed in order to continue to pay retirement benefits to all of our retirees in this country. But when you find a lot of that information out there, it's not factual and it's just fear mongering. So often we're sitting in conversations with people who say, I need to start my Social Security benefit immediately. I'm going to retire at 62, so I need to start it right away because I want to ensure that I get money out of the system before there is no more money left in it. Well, that may or may not be the case. We also meet with people who say, I want to start it as soon as possible. I need to get grandfathered into the system because I read online that, you have to start the benefit before it goes away. That's also not even remotely true. There is no grandfathering into the system.
Yeah.
We don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know how long you're going to live, but chances are you're going to probably be living in retirement 20, 30 years. So we're living longer and healthier because of modern medicine nowadays and peptides and all these other things people are doing, for their health. We're more focused on our health nowadays than we ever have been. But, you look at that, making the wrong decision on Social Security can be detrimental to your family. And we've seen situations where had someone known how to have a better strategy on their retirement income coming in from Social Security, they could have had about $500,000 or $600,000 more in their family's pocket over the course of their lifetime. So we're not talking chump change here. This is the decision that's going to make a big difference and impact you in your retirement.
And that certainly will make a big difference. Just think about long-term care in the future if you need that. What would $500,000 of additional income do for you if you needed long-term care in the future? It's those kinds of things that you need to really focus on and think about. And when you think about Social Security, a lot of people say, we start our conversation. They say, well, when would you like to retire? Well, I'm going to retire at 67. Well, why would you retire at 67? Because that's my full retirement age on Social Security. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. People think they have to retire when Social Security says they are at full retirement age. So then they can immediately walk out of the building on Friday with all their stuff from their desk and then walk into the Social Security Administration on Monday and collect a check. Those two dates never, ever have to go together, and they probably shouldn't go together. And especially if you're a married couple, you probably should take a deep dive in analysis in Social Security timing and find out what your options are so we can get the most out of the system for your family.
But I'll tell you, even if you sit back and Google how to do that, you're probably not going to find the right information. So let's have a conversation and look at your Social Security earnings history and your spouse's Social Security earnings history if you have a spouse. So we can run a timing report and show you, okay, if you take at this point in time, here's what it's going to do, because your Social Security benefits based upon your highest 35 earning years, indexed to today's dollars and averaged out. So if we can look at your specific earnings history, you can make an informed decision, because that's what retirement's really all about. You want to make an informed decision on your Social Security? Give us a buzz at 314-207-6211, and we'll start that conversation. That's 314-207-6211.
And that's the importance of reaching out to the team at Ricken Financial, especially regarding your Social Security, because set up your account at ssa.gov, or if you call the Social Security Administration, the reality is they can't give you advice. They can't tell you what to do. They can point you in a different direction. They can put you on hold for 45 minutes. They can send you to another department, but they cannot help you with your overall Social Security strategy, Heidi.
That is correct. And, not only are they probably going to put you on hold for 45 minutes, when they come back, they're probably going to schedule an appointment 2 months out. So if you want answers today, give us a buzz. We'll sit down and we can give you some real-time information, because you're correct. They can't give you advice, but we don't work for the Social Security Administration. We don't represent them at all whatsoever. We're just here to help ensure that you're making the right choices when it comes to your income in retirement. So let's make sure that your Social Security decision is the correct one for your family.
After all, you paid in. Why not get the most out of it?
Amen.
Elliot Davis said it best. You paid for it.
That's right.
Good conversation. Spending some time this weekend talking about, I don't want to say how we get into panic mode as adults, but sometimes we overthink things and we get ourselves all worked up. And we had a good conversation about taxes, Social Security, income, and now a big one that I know you deal with almost on a daily basis, talking about healthcare, Medicare, long-term care, because I am guilty of this, Heidi. Unfortunately, my father passed away of cancer. He had a seizure one day, and then 3 months later, he was gone. And there's a whole nother conversation about that. But I think that has reflected in me, because now I am that guy. I get a hangnail and I'm like, all right, that's it. Shutting it down. It's done. Like, I know I'm not trying to be morbid, but that's almost kind of the way I think when we talk about how we panic over the little things. So
I can't even imagine how rough it was when you had actual health issues like a kidney stone.
Oh,
if you think your life's over from a hangnail.
Dude, I thought, if you missed on the podcast, we were talking last week. I passed so small you couldn't even see it, that size of a kidney stone, and I was doubled over in pain. I was just getting all my affairs in order. I thought it was some of the worst pain I've ever been in, and it also made me realize, all right, kid, time to start getting serious about that health care, about medical, time to get back to the doctor more often. It was kind of an eye-opening situation.
Well, Mark, if you need help with that, call 314-207-6211, and Ricken Financial will definitely help you.
I've heard of them. Big fans.
Oh, yeah. But, I don't want it to get to the point in time that you are keeled over in pain before you start making these decisions, because let's be real, by the time the medical issue has occurred, most of the time it's going to be too late to plan for it. So let's talk medical. The biggest decision that you have probably 40 or 50 phone calls a day, a bunch of emails, a bunch of postcards in the mail, all this kind of stuff. A big decision you have to make in retirement is regarding Medicare. And we get a lot of phone calls with panic of, oh my God, I'm turning 65 and everyone tells me I have to apply for this. Well, don't listen to everyone. Don't stand at the water cooler and hear what people are saying. Don't talk to your friend at tennis and think that you need to do this. If you're covered in a group plan, you do not need to sign up for Medicare.
Let's repeat that, please, Heidi.
If you are covered in a group plan, so you're still working or you're covered in that group plan, you do not have to sign up for Medicare.
You will not get penalized. Okay? If you're on a group plan, you will not get penalized. People have that fear. That's a big fear and a big panic out there that, oh my gosh, if I don't sign up at 65, I'm going to get penalized for the rest of my life. Well, if you're on a group plan, that does not apply to you.
And I'll tell you, a lot of people have used Google as their tool to plan for their retirement. And sometimes it works effectively. Sometimes it can fail you. And we've had a lot of conversations lately with people who, before coming in to see us, they had never spoken to anyone who works in the retirement planning field or to a Medicare specialist or anything like that. But there's so much misinformation out on the internet that they were completely panicked and believed that even though one of the two of them is still working and the family is covered over a group health insurance plan that they're paying for, they have full coverage with, they fully believed they had to sign up for Medicare Part A and Part B to avoid penalties in the future. So I don't want something like this to happen to you, but I did meet a couple recently who did not know that since his health insurance covered the family and he's still working and he loves doing what he's doing, he's probably going to be working for a lot more years. When they turned age 65, she panicked, she went online, and she signed up for Medicare Part A and Part B. Part B is the Medicare coverage that is the premiums that you have to pay for that are based upon your income that you earned 2 years prior, your taxable income. And it fluctuates anywhere from about $140 a month to like $1,200 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in high wage earning years, that $1,200 a month is probably going to be closer to what you'd have to spend on Part B if you needed it. Once you sign up, there's no way to turn it off. There's no way to not pay for that coverage. So now they found themselves in a situation where they did not need Part B, but they signed up for it. And now they are paying out the wazoo for that mistake for years prior to when they would have to have turned it on. So I don't want that to happen to you. And I understand the panic because we read some of the same articles as you, and they are all panic driven and telling you you need to get on Medicare.gov and sign up immediately. So if you want to know if you need to sign up or not, or how to avoid a costly mistake to your family, please call us at 314-207-6211. And let's look at your specific situation, because you may or may not have to do it. But if you do sign up for Part B, there's no way to undo that. You're going to owe Medicare for that coverage, whether you used it or not.
You mentioned a couple of seconds ago, Heidi, you said that there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, and especially when it comes to healthcare. How often do you find at Ricken Financial that somebody comes in and says, oh, Heidi, Gerry, I saw this article, or I saw this commercial online, or there was a podcast about blank regarding my Medicare and Medicaid? How often do you have to dispel that information, that misinformation that people find online about their healthcare?
More often than not, because I will tell you a majority of the information that is brought to us because it sounds so good, or because it puts so much fear and panic in you, that's just misinformation out there. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're listening to our program, please know it's gone through compliance. We have to ensure that what we're saying is true. And, you know, we can't lead you astray. But there are a lot of big people out there, like the talking heads of our industry that I call them, who will put some blanket advice out there. If it's blanket advice, don't follow it. Mm-hmm. You need to ensure that what you're doing is what's best for you and your family. And unless that person has sat down and seen all the nuts and bolts of your financial plan and your retirement, they're not giving you the correct information.
You know, and the other thing is a lot of people in our industry, well, everyone in our industry has to disclose and has to have disclaimers and has to say, yep, hey, if anything you hear on this radio program is not advice, you all know that. And there's a disclaimer after the radio program that your voice says that. Right. But there are a lot of people on the internet who aren't in this industry, and they can give blanket advice and not be held accountable by anybody, any institution, any regulatory body, any company, anybody. So just be very, very careful when you do research things. Make sure they're credible sources. Make sure that you understand and check those sources to make sure they are credible. A lot of them do look credible. We're in the world of AI. Everything looks real, but it's really not.
Yeah,
it could be not. So we just need to make sure that, and it just warn you all about that, and warn you about Medicare scams. They're out there. People can call you. You're turning 65. You give them all your information. Don't give them the information on the phone. Do not do that. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that a lot of people do, they read that, oh my gosh, when I turn 65, no matter what, I have to sign up for Medicare. And they say, well, I'm still on a group plan, so I'm going to sign up for Medicare Part A because it doesn't cost me anything, because it won't create a penalty in the future. If I sign up at age 65, you do not have to do that. I want to repeat that. You do not have to do that at age 65 if you're on a group plan. Let's say you're on a high deductible plan and you have an HSA at work, a health savings account, and you can maximize that health savings account out. And we would encourage you to maximize that health savings account out and save it for retirement, because we have a unique tax strategy we could talk to you about when you come to the office about that and how to really save on taxes in the future using your HSA account. But let's say you have an HSA account, you're on a group plan, a high deductible plan, and you sign up for Part A. But you plan to work for 2 or 3 more years. Guess what? You can no longer contribute to your HSA account because you have Medicare. It doesn't matter if it's Part A or Part B. As long as you signed up for one of those, it negates any future contribution to your HSA account. So you can really be disadvantaged by listening to that blanket advice you hear out there and the fear mongering that says you have to do this at age 65 or you'll be penalized in the future. Not true. Okay. If you're on a group plan. So I just want to make sure you all understand that there are opportunities that you'll be missing out if you follow the wrong advice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course. But you also are not supposed to know what the right advice is to follow. If, I don't know, let's say you work in the healthcare industry, you might not even know the answer to this. If you're in IT, if you are not a retirement planner who spends all day long, every day, researching this stuff, learning more, going through continuing education, talking to compliance and every single facet of the world every single day.
Understanding ABCs of Medicare.
If you don't live, eat, and breathe this world, you're not actually supposed to know the answer to this. I don't know the answer to everything.
Right.
Listen, I am okay at trivia, but I'm not even that great at trivia because I don't know everything about everything. Mm-hmm. I know stuff in my wheelhouse. So if this is not your wheelhouse, please don't think there is a stupid question. Don't think that you're supposed to know the answer before you even come see us. Just know that you don't do this every single day, and you need to ensure that your family is making the right decision. And if asking for help to get there is what it takes, please don't let that hold you back from making the right decision. Give us a buzz at 314-207-6211 because we never want you to DIY your retirement and have one tiny little mistake derail the entire thing.
Yeah.
You worked way too hard in all of your working years for one little mistake, one little missed piece, one little nugget. If that one little nugget could save your retirement, please don't be too proud to reach out for help.
All right, I'm putting the warning out there right now. If you got kids in the car, it's going to get kind of ugly here for a second because we're going to talk about a dirty word. It's a nasty word. A lot of adults, it's upsetting to them. It can be offensive. It's a 5-letter word. Taxes. Let's talk about taxes. Yes. The fear, the panic that taxes cause. What was the best watching y'all's face right there being like, Owens, where are you going with this?
Oh, I knew where you were going. I'm like, yeah, this is a good one.
I talked to you about taxes.
I feel the panic reaching, my
down
heartburn.
below, and I'm getting hot.
Mark, the U.S. Postal Service has a predictor of your mail that you get an email. You can sign up for this service and they scan your email.
Informed delivery.
Yes, informed delivery. They scan your mail, your snail mail, and send it to you in an email so that you anticipate what's happening in your mailbox the next day or that day. And I can't tell you how many times clients say, I want to turn that off because my fear is that I'm going to open that one day and there's going to be a letter from the IRS. That's a fear. That's a fear people have. And I'm like, why would you be fearful of that? You just open a letter and address it. I mean, it's not a big deal. But people are afraid of the IRS. They're afraid of April 15th. They're afraid of taxes. And they should be if they don't plan for them.
Or if they don't know what to plan for or what tax planning even is. Because if you don't know what you don't know, how are you supposed to know it? Here's the thing. A lot of people, when we think taxes, they only think April 15th, the deadline for when you need to file your income tax return, which shows what you did in the previous year. But here's what they don't do. They don't do tax planning, which is planning for that April 15th deadline so that you don't have a surprise come tax return preparation time. You've known what's going on. You have the structure set up so that you're as tax efficient as possible. And I don't know, let's say you start your first year of retirement. All your income streams are different. You may or may not have Social Security coming in or pensions or income coming off of IRAs, or you might be doing Roth conversions or any number of things that you're doing in the beginning of retirement. Your tax return is going to look completely different than it was in all of your working years. And that can paralyze some people in fear when they start thinking about just how much they have to pay the IRS in retirement. Because for a long time, there was a common misconception that people believed that the day you retire, the IRS retires with you. You don't have to file an income tax return anymore. That is not the case at all. You do have to file an income tax return when you have income. And we really hope that in your retirement years, you have income because, you worked really hard. We want to ensure that you're spending the money that you want to spend on the things you want to do.
And it's our job that you do have income as long as you have blood pressure. But the most important kind of income we want you to have is non-taxable income that is tax-free, free of income tax. Okay. So the only way to get there is through effective tax planning, as Heidi said. you can do things like tax loss harvesting. You can do things like Roth conversions. You can do a multitude of things. But if you don't understand what those are, how do you even begin? Well, you begin by calling 314-207-6211 and just reach out to us. We will definitely lead you through to and through retirement and make sure that we can eliminate or reduce income taxes as we go along. Our job overall is to get you tax-free in retirement so that the income coming in is tax-free or as little as income tax as possible in that income stream. So taxes are going to be your biggest lifetime expense. They will, no matter what, but they will be much less overall in your lifetime if you do effective tax planning.
And here's the thing. So many people don't know how to do tax planning, or they try to talk to their advisor and their tax planner, and there's too many people, with too many opinions, and they have no idea where to turn or what to do. So here's what effective tax planning can look like, because that's a question we get a lot. Like, okay, you talk about this tax planning. Some people think it's going to be some huge, complicated, formulaic thing that they're going to have to sit here and do some hard work on it. It can be as simple as this. What withdrawal order do you utilize your assets in? Which asset should be invested with the rate of return that it's making? Also looking at its tax status. If you combine those two, so we have the right market risk per investment and the correct withdrawal order of those investments after we know their rate of return and we can project all that, you can save more in taxes. It could be as simple as that, just ensuring that the money's coming from the right bucket at the right time. Or it can be as complex as utilizing a net unrealized appreciation from your 401k plan, implementing some Roth conversions from your traditional to your Roth. On top of that, also utilizing qualified charitable distributions once you hit age 70 and a half. And on top of that, we could be doing some indexed universal life plans that reduce taxation as well. There are so many things. We can get real nitty gritty and get deep in the weeds with things that you can do. But tax planning doesn't have to be super stressful. It can truly be as simple as attributing the rate of return and the type of investment that you're investing your assets in to the correct asset with the correct withdrawal order. But if you do it on your own, we find most people, their minds tell them to do the opposite of what tax efficiency is. So, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, or you might have a clue about what I'm talking about, but we want to ensure that what you're thinking through in your strategy is going to be the correct tax efficient strategy for your lifetime, let's chat. 314-207-6211. We'll begin the plan. We'll take a look at it all together, and we'll ensure that you're doing the correct withdrawal order. You have the right assets at the right risk when it comes to your market risk and your tax risk, because combine those, you could potentially be saving your family millions of dollars of taxes in your lifetime just by simply having the correct withdrawal order, market risk, and tax risk.
We just want you to be informed. Yeah. That's all we want you to be, is just informed on what's available to you. Mark, there's an IRS office off of Highway 141 in West County. And this winter, I drove by there. I was on my way to Target. I drove by there and I saw someone standing outside with his hands in his pockets because it was cold. And I knew he wasn't with the IRS because his hands were in his own pockets and not at someone else's.
Oh, Gerry got jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Gerry Ricken, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, if nothing else, if you want to hear some Gerry jokes, come give us a call at 314-207-6211, because I used to call them dad jokes, and he's like, listen, no. I've been telling these jokes before I was
I get my own category. I get my own
I know, right?
This one. Yeah. But, the reality is, and you're not wrong, though, we may not have a health problem or a wealth problem, but everybody's got issues with the IRS. So get ahead of your tax strategy with the help of Ricken Financial.
And, we'd love to chat about this kind of in depth. So if you want to join us at one of our upcoming tax-free retirement seminars, please join us on May 19th or May 21st at Prosino in St. Charles. You can find all the information about that over on our events page at rickenfinancial.com, Ricken, because Mark said it right. We all have a tax problem. It's just a matter of how we handle it.
Yep. Exactly. And real quick, I want to go back to those educational workshops that you hold, complimentary workshops for the community. And is this one of those? And I know it's not, but I think some people have this thought, this vision that if I go to one of these, it's like a timeshare where you're going to give me a little bit of information, but then you're going to try to hard sell me at the end. So calm my fears is what we've been talking a lot about here this weekend, about coming to visit you and the team and attending one of these educational workshops.
It's no obligation, no cost, no obligation. And no, we are not timeshare salespeople. We just provide information. And if you would like to meet with us afterwards, we have that opportunity for you. But, each one of these, a lot of times you go to these seminars and you watch a PowerPoint and you listen to someone read a PowerPoint to you. That we do not believe is education. What we believe is education is we stand in front of you with a whiteboard and a marker, and we educate
and our brains.
And we just educate you on our knowledge. And if you'd like to have a refreshing conversation and a refreshing event with respect to retirement planning, specifically on taxation, please come see us on May 19th or May 21st. Go look it up on our webpage at the events page on our website and come to Prosino.
And don't be surprised if you register for one of our events. We're going to call you and we're going to ask a few questions. One of them being, what do you want to ensure we talk about that night? Because we don't come with some set agenda. We come with your agenda. What do you want to learn about? We're here to help ensure that we make the most of our time together. So for the hour that we're going to be presenting, we really want to ensure that it's the information that you want to hear. So it'll be driven by you.
Amen. Well, Gerry, Heidi, as always, thank you for the information and the education this weekend. We are back next weekend, but before we get out of here, take us home.
Every day is a holiday.
Life is short. Laugh hard.
This has been Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.